So it starts out that he was responding to Dee Snider, who quoted it himself, "This is a must for any fan of 80s hair metal." And Sebastian's got to say, "Is there really anyone in the world who calls himself a fan of 80s hair metal?" And then some guy, I have no way to know, but I'm assuming teens or maybe early 20s at most, just says yes. Then he has to respond to them, "That has the balls to show their face?" And, and the poor guy's like, totally understandably, "I just like my privacy on here." And then he snaps back, "If I called myself a fan of 80s hair metal, I would want my privacy too. It's like saying I'm a complete poser and I know nothing about music." Oh, it's real classy. So not only are you getting butthurt over a term, but you're bullying a guy that might be a teenager, certainly way younger than you are. That's classy. And finally, this one dude puts him in his place. "You're 52. Why are you being a dick about a kid's music taste?" And he's, completely missing the point. Comes back and says, "I'm trying to explain to a kid that wasn't there that the term 80s hair metal is an insult. It's not something you call music if you're actually a fan of it." And then just short and sweet, this is my favorite response. "It's kind of a dick move to be rude to a kid. Just get over the label shit. It's 2020. Be thankful that the younger generation is enjoying your music," referring to Gen Z. Exactly. And then, not surprisingly, past that point, he doesn't respond, which is kind of... When that happens, you know that you've lost the argument when your only response is to either double down or to be insulting or to back out altogether. That just proves that you got nothing to say and, no ounce of introspection, no, "Hey man, I'm sorry, or let me try to look at it from somebody else's point of view," It's pretty sad. I mean, I don't know if all those drugs and alcohol he took, I don't know if it fried his brain to the point that he thinks that the 80s only ended 5 or 6 years ago. I mean, to put it in perspective, someone that's 30 wasn't even alive in 89, was not even quite born. Someone that's 40 was born in 1980, and they probably only remember the late 80s, and and even that could be iffy if they had, conservative, old-fashioned, strict, parents or whatever. So, I obviously, I wouldn't be commenting if I wasn't. I love that genre, but full admittedly, I'm a geek and I remember stuff back to age 3. A lot of people don't. So I'm saying in order to be a guaranteed, fan of that era that would know it inside and out, you really would have to be early to mid 40s now, born in, let's say, 1977 probably. So the point is, there's a whole lot of people who are completely unaware of it. The whole idea that you're not allowed to be a fan unless you know every single thing about it, inside and out, backwards and front. You're invalidated from commenting on it or being a fan. It's it's way to go, bro. What are you trying to accomplish by being all butthurt about it? Again, just to use myself as an example, and I am way more of deep into the stuff than most people, and I'm a geek, and as I said, good memory, paid attention, always liked music literally as far back as I can remember. I know a lot more stuff than a lot of people even my age did, or perhaps a lot of them even still do. And even I always knew it to be called hair metal in the 90s. So when I've said it, it was never meant to be degrading or denigrating or an insult. That's what the media termed it as. That's always what I've repeated. It's always what I've known it to be. And I assume it's the same. If I'm saying that, I'm assuming, God forbid, for Gen Z or the maybe tail end, young millennials born in the, mid-90s or whatever, it's the same thing. And it's he doesn't grasp that. He can only look at it from his own point of view. It's as I said, 80s are a while ago, bro. A lot of people weren't born yet. Do you understand that? Do you grasp that? And just in general, just the way that the fact that he's not at all even seems to be appreciative of the fact that that a Gen Z likes his music. It's no "Hey, thanks, man. Hey, it's awesome." If he had said, honestly, if he had even said something as simple as, hey, it's rock on, brothers. Appreciate, yeah, well, appreciate my fans. It's cool that you're into it, but hey, I just prefer the term 80s metal or 80s hard rock. He could have still said it, and then the same thing, could have been conveyed in like a non-dick manner, where he would have still made himself, a lot more likable, a lot more empathetic. I mean, but as it stands right now, it's like, I would just ask him, so are you happy? I mean, was it worth it to be all grandstanding about not using the term properly? Was it worth it to you? Because what's the end result going to be from all this? People are a lot more likely to be turned off by you, just not even just musically, but just musically too, but just as a person. They're going to be a lot more turned off by you. You're a lot less likely to get any new fans now because of this. And even the ones you did have might be like, what, fuck you, bro. You're gonna treat me like that? Well, I ain't listening to your music. That's going to be the common response from a lot of people. I'm tempted to do it. I mean, I think the first time I heard Youth Gone Wild, 18 in Life, that whole debut album, I heard it in 96. This family friend of ours had the cassette tape in his car. I remember we used to rock out to it, and it's like that. Like I said, that was only a few years after the actual 80s ended, and that was when everyone was calling it hair metal. It's what I called it as a kid. Always been calling it ever since then. So what? You gonna hate me too? And I'm not saying that he would do this. I don't know what his politics or his views are, but it's like the irony is, these kind of people could also be the same type of people who would complain about pronouns and, there's 73 genders now, but yet, you use a term improperly and then they melt down on you. And the final question would be, I would ask him as well, I mean, would you rather, like that one guy that admittedly said, it was right in his bio, hair metal stan. I mean, like, would you rather someone used hair metal but used it like in a positive way, in the sense of like, hey, hey, this stuff's awesome? Or would you rather they use the term properly and said, if they just called it, 80s hard rock, which that could mean anything. That could mean AC/DC. That could mean stuff that's that's not even in the same ballpark. Would you rather that they use the proper term and say, oh man, 80s hard rock, 80s metal sucks, dude. That's like stuff my dad listens to. Would you rather that, or would you rather they were complimentary and use the term hair metal? It's like, again, it's just the lack of empathy. It's like he's fucking incapable of understanding where someone else is coming from. Well, it's like, if your fan base dwindles and, you don't get any new fans, perhaps lose the ones you do have, there's a backlash against you. Well, tough luck, bro. You earned it. Maybe think harder next time. Maybe try to put yourself in somebody else's shoes.